Welcome to our video on the top 10 worst serial killers in history. Serial killers are a fascinating subject, but also a chilling one. These individuals have committed some of the most heinous crimes imaginable, leaving behind a trail of devastation and despair. In this video, we will be exploring the details of their horrific crimes and attempting to gain insight into what motivates someone to commit such atrocities. Viewer discretion is advised, as some of the content may be disturbing. Number 10. Richard Ramirez, also known as the Night Stalker. Ramirez terrorized Southern California in the mid-1980s, committing 13 murders and multiple rapes. He would break into homes at night, often killing his victims in their sleep. Ramirez was finally caught in 1985 and sentenced to death. He died in prison in 2013. Number 9. Gary Ridgway, also known as the Green River Killer. Ridgway is one of the most prolific serial killers in American history, having confessed to 49 murders of young women in the Seattle area during the 1980s and 1990s. He was finally caught in 2001 and is currently serving a life sentence. Number 8. Andrei Chikatilo, also known as the Butcher of Rostov. Chikatilo was a Soviet serial killer who murdered at least 52 people, mostly women and children, between 1978 and 1990. He would lure his victims into secluded areas before torturing, raping, and killing them. Chikatilo was executed in 1994. Number 7. Ted Bundy. Bundy is one of the most notorious serial killers in American history, having confessed to 30 murders during the 1970s. He would often charm his victims before abducting and murdering them. Bundy was executed in 1989. Number 6. Jeffrey Dahmer, also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal. Dahmer is infamous for his gruesome crimes, which included the rape, murder, and dismemberment of 17 young men and boys between 1978 and 1991. He was finally caught in 1991 and sentenced to life in prison, where he was later murdered by another inmate. Number 5. John Wayne Gacy, also known as the Killer Clown. Gacy was a serial killer who murdered at least 33 young men and boys in the Chicago area during the 1970s. He would often dress up as a clown to entertain children at parties, before abducting and killing his victims. Gacy was executed in 1994. Number 4. Harold Shipman, also known as Dr. Death. Shipman was a British doctor who murdered at least 218 of his patients between 1975 and 1998, making him one of the most prolific serial killers in history. He would administer lethal doses of drugs to his patients, often targeting elderly women. Shipman was finally caught in 1998 and sentenced to life in prison, where he later died by suicide. Number 3. Pedro Lopez, also known as the Monster of the Andes. Lopez is a Colombian serial killer who is believed to have murdered over 300 young girls in South America during the 1970s. He would lure his victims away from their families with promises of food or money, before raping and killing them. Lopez was finally caught in 1980 and sentenced to life in prison. Number 2. Luis Garavito, also known as La Bestia. Garavito is a Colombian serial killer who is believed to have murdered over 300 young boys during the 1990s. He would lure his victims away from their families with promises of gifts or money, before torturing, raping, and killing them. Garavito was finally caught in 1999 and sentenced to 1,853 years in prison. And finally, number 1. Pedro Rodrigues Filho, also known as Pedrinho Matador. Filho is a Brazilian serial killer who is believed to have killed over 100 people, including his own father. He began his killing spree at 14, and by the time he was arrested at 18, he had already killed 10 people. Filho would often seek revenge against those who he believed had wronged him or his family. He is currently serving a 400-year sentence in a Brazilian prison. Thank you for watching our video on the top 10 worst serial killers in history. We hope this video has provided insight into the minds of these twisted individuals and shed light on the devastating impact their crimes have had on their victims and society as a whole. Remember to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating content.